Hey everybody, this is Andrew from Pacific Coast Auto, bringing you the second episode of our how-to video series. In this episode, I'll be covering how to browse past auction sales. That's right, I'm going to show you how to look at cars that you cannot buy. Why would you want to do that? Well, for a number of reasons. One, it can show you how often a particular kind of car comes up for auction. Two, it can show you the ranges of quality you might expect to find. 3. It can show you how much you might expect to spend on a particular car depending on its condition. And 4. It can show you awesome deals that you missed but probably shouldn't expect to actually get for yourself. Browsing the past sales isn't too different from looking at current listings, but there are a few key differences. The most important thing on this page is the result pop-up. Always set this to sold. If you don't, you'll get a lot of duplicate listings for cars that went through auction more than once without selling. All we care about here is what actually sold and for how much. Be aware that you can still get a duplicate if a car was sold at auction more than once. You'll notice that instead of start price, we've got fields for end price. This is useful if you want to see what kind of a vehicle you can get within a specific budget. Bear in mind that this will just be the auction cost of the vehicle and will not include things like our fee, shipping, customs, taxes, and so on. Bid number is also useful on this page since you can use it to look up whether or not a particular vehicle sold, and if it did, for how much. If you want to look up a vehicle by chassis number, use the model type field, same as on the search page. The chassis number one is like the leather one. It should work, but it doesn't. Skip it. Modification is also something better left alone. The In Addition area has a date of auction section added. It defaults to the past 3 months worth of sales, and while you can try and search back farther than that, it won't actually give you any results older than 3 months. If you want to look at fewer than 3 months, it'll do that just fine. Aside from those things, most everything here is like what you've seen on the auction search page. Keeping things going from the first episode, we're going to use a US eligible R32 for our search. We'll set things to sold, Nissan, Skyline, 1989 to 1991. Click on search and let's see what we get. My search returned 291 hits. With the default listing of 20 per page, that's too many pages to click through, so I always set it to 100 per page. That way I have a nice long list of cars to scroll through. Another thing I always want to do is sort by price by clicking the downward pointing blue triangle. That's going to put the most expensive cars at the top. That way I can see right when the page loads what's the absolute high end of my search. But I want to make sure I'm looking at good cars, so I'm going to go into the scores. I will click on 3 and then shift click on 5. This means I will only be looking at cars with a rating between 3 and 5. No R grade, no dash, no triple asterisk, just the decent ones. Now I'm down to 112 hits. That cut a lot of the search out. It'll almost fit on one page now, so let's scroll down to the bottom. When we get down there, you're going to see some really cheap cars. These are what we call the outliers, and there is a reason these cars are this cheap. Exactly what outliers are is something we're going to cover in another video. Back at the top, you do have the option to change the currency from yen into dollars or rubles, but you probably shouldn't. The currency conversion is off and can give you an error of up to $2,000 or more depending on the price of the car. Just get used to thinking in yen because that's how we do all our business. I still want to cut down on this search. I think I don't want a high mileage car. So what I'm going to do is cap the mileage at 160,000 kilometers, which is about 100,000 miles. And now we're down to 91. Alright, we're making progress. But what if I don't have a huge budget? Maybe I want to set a maximum price. To do that, I'll come down here to end price and I'm going to input 1,500. Now that's in thousands of yen, so it's really 1.5 million yen. Doing that cuts things down to 60. Now I'm really getting my search targeted. But let's say I know what I want, and what I want is a GTR. I'm going to come down to grade because that's where the specific model of the car is listed. Coming into grade, and I will type in GTR and hit search once more. I do that, and now I have 22 hits, within my budget, with the mileage I'm interested in. But what am I really going to get for my money? To answer that question, we need to take a closer look at one of these cars. Let's try this one. This one sold for 1.34 million yen. This is pretty much as low as you want to go on price for a GTR. Now, the pictures are small here, we can't see too much, but let's pull up the auction sheet. You'll notice when you pull it up, it's not that big. We want to see it bigger. What you can do is right click on the image, view it in a new tab, you'll get it full size. Now that we can see the auction sheet better, let's take a look at why this car probably sold for what it did. The mileage is just under 82,000 kilometers, which is pretty good for a 25-year-old car. It has the original silver paint, which is also nice. The body's a 3.5, which is pretty good. On the downside, the interior is a C. For a USS auction, this is the lowest grade for the interior. It's not going to be pretty. Looking at the vehicle diagram, the roof has peeling paint. The hood shows paint cracks, paint fade, and paint peeling. And the big one for this car is the rust in the engine bay. Nissans do have a problem with rust sometimes, and if you can actually see it in the engine bay, it's a sign that you've got an expensive repair coming up. That could be a big reason why this car didn't sell for more. This was just a quick look at one vehicle and wasn't meant to be a full guide to reading the auction sheets. If you want to learn more about them, go ahead and subscribe and come back for episode 3.